The first time he touched her, she recoiled, not in fear, but in something far worse, something dangerous, something she should not have felt. His fingers, warm and rough, traced along the ridges of her skin, where her kind were never meant to be touched. A sharp inhale betrayed her, her body trembling as if responding to a command she did not understand. He shouldn't be able to do this to her. He was human, weak, fragile, inferior, and yet she could barely breathe. She had been warned about this. Her physiology was different, her body unsuited to human hands. Their kind did not belong together. What they were attempting was unnatural, an insult to every law written in her blood. But when he leaned in, heat radiating from his body, she couldn't move away. His voice was low, deliberate. Tell me to stop. She should have. She had every reason to. Instead, she swallowed hard, her throat dry as her body betrayed her again. Say it, he murmured, fingers curling against her skin, pressing into her in a way that made her entire frame tense, every nerve flaring like a warning, like a plea. She shook her head. I can't. That was the truth. She couldn't. His touch burned against her, her muscles quivering from the strain of resisting. Everything about her anatomy fought against this, against him. Her body wasn't meant to handle a human's grip, the way his hands framed her, the sheer intensity of his presence. There was no logical reason for her to react this way, and yet she ached. The pressure built beneath her skin, unfamiliar and overwhelming. She wasn't supposed to be this sensitive. His kind shouldn't have been able to do this to hers. But the moment his grip tightened, something inside her shattered. A choked sound escaped her lips before she could stop it, her body shuddering. Violently, his eyes darkened. He felt it too, the way she trembled beneath him, the way she was losing this battle. A sharp inhale, a desperate exhale. She clenched her jaw, trying to fight against it, against him. But every fiber of her being betrayed her. Her own body was turning against her, caught in the impossible contrast of pleasure and pain, of resistance and surrender. She was losing. No, she whispered, but it wasn't a command. It wasn't a demand. It was a plea. And he knew it. His hands flexed, and she gasped, her body writhing beneath the sensation. The barrier between what should be and what was had already begun to blur. Her body trembled from the strain of resisting, from the war waging inside her. She wasn't meant to crave this. She wasn't meant to be this weak, and yet she could feel herself breaking. A shudder racked her frame as she gritted her teeth, trying to fight against the heat curling through her veins. But it was useless. Every time she tensed, his touch found a way to make it worse, pushing her further into something dangerous, something forbidden, something she had no way of stopping. He studied her, his expression unreadable, but his grip never wavered. "You're shaking," he murmured. She tried to control it, but her body refused to obey. I can't stop," she admitted, voice barely more than a breath. He exhaled slowly, his gaze searching hers. "Because of me?" She swallowed hard, every muscle trembling from the effort of holding herself together. "Yes." The word broke something between them. His grip adjusted, the heat of his touch pressing into places she shouldn't have let him near. Her entire frame quaked, caught between pleasure and agony, between what her body demanded and what she knew she could not allow. She should push him away. She should end this. But the truth was undeniable now, deep in the marrow of her bones, in the way her body fought and shuddered, in the desperate, forbidden ache pooling low in her stomach. She didn't want him to stop. Her breath hitched as He moved again, and a ragged sound ripped from her throat. This was impossible. This wasn't supposed to happen. And yet, as she gasped his name, as her body surrendered inch by inch, she knew she had already lost. She should have run. should have pushed him away the moment she felt her control slipping. But she was still here, trembling beneath his touch, caught between resistance and something far more dangerous. His heat pressed into her, his hands steady, despite the way she quivered. He was watching her, waiting, measuring every breath, every reaction. She was failing to suppress them all. Her body wasn't built for this. For him. Every instinct screamed that he was too much, that his presence alone was enough to unravel her, that her anatomy wasn't designed to endure the way he touched her, the way he made her feel. And yet, she hadn't moved away. "You're still fighting," he murmured, his voice a quiet storm. She clenched her jaw. "I should." His fingers flexed against her skin, and her body seized at the pressure, a sharp, startled gasp escaping her before she could contain it. He knew. He knew exactly what was happening inside her. The war she was losing, the betrayal of her own flesh. She hated him for it, and yet, her hands fisted into the fabric between them, not to shove him away, but to hold on. "Then stop fighting," he said, as if it were that simple. As if the very laws of her species hadn't been written to prevent this. Her breath came faster, uneven. "You don't understand. Then tell me." His fingers slid over her skin again, a slow, torturous path that sent her nerves sparking. In chaos, her body arched against her will, every muscle clenching in protest, and in something else, something far worse. She could feel her control breaking, unraveling, every touch sending another crack through her resolve. She swallowed hard, tried to form the words, tried to find any reason to stop this. "I wasn't made for this. I think you were," he said. A sharp sound tore from her throat, and she hated how close it was to a plea. "You don't?" His grip tightened, and she shook, her body betraying her completely now, her breath catching in her chest. "I do," he murmured. "I feel it." Her nails dug into his arms as another wave of heat rolled through her. "It's too much." But she didn't pull away. He studied her, gaze dark and unreadable. "Do you want me to stop?" She should have said yes. Instead, her lips parted, her breath stalling as the war inside her reached its peak. She was losing. She had been losing from the moment he first touched her. And now, every muscle trembled under the weight of what she refused to say. He saw it, felt it, and when he leaned in, so close that his breath ghosted against her heated skin, she broke. Her voice was raw, wrecked. "No." The tension shattered between them. His grip shifted, and she choked on the sensation, her body arching, reacting before she could even comprehend what was happening. She couldn't control it, couldn't stop it, and he knew. A slow exhale ghosted over her skin. "Good." The word sent a violent shudder through her, her entire body curling under the weight of it, under the realization of what she had just admitted. She had surrendered. She shouldn't have. But now that she had, she couldn't take it back. His fingers pressed against her again, and she cried out, her body twisting against him. She wasn't made for this. But gods, she wanted it. She had surrendered. The moment the word left her lips, she knew there was no taking it back. No undoing the way her body had betrayed her, the way every instinct had crumbled under the weight of his touch. He knew it too. His hands didn't falter, didn't hesitate. They moved as if he had already known the answer, like he had only been waiting for her to admit it. The heat of his skin against hers sent another violent shudder through her, every muscle in her body locked in a desperate, trembling state of restraint. Restraint that was slipping fast. She clenched her jaw, but it did nothing to stop the way her body arched, the way her breath hitched, the way her hands fisted into him, not to push him away. It was a mistake. All of it. A terrible, delicious mistake. Her voice cracked. "I can't." His fingers traced lower, and her entire body convulsed in response. "You are," he murmured, his breath hot against her. "You already have." her nails. Dragged against his skin, her trembling grip the only anchor she had left. She wasn't meant to feel this way, wasn't made for this kind of touch, this kind of pressure, this kind of need. But her body didn't care. It only knew the warmth, the tension, the agonizing, sweet torment of a sensation it had never been meant to endure. "I don't," she gasped as another pulse of heat shot through her. "I don't understand." He exhaled slowly, his lips just barely grazing the sensitive ridge of her skin. "I think you do." She did. That was the worst part. She didn't know how, but her body understood in ways she couldn't comprehend. It was learning him, reacting to him, craving him in ways that were utterly unnatural. She squeezed her eyes shut, her breath ragged. This shouldn't be possible. And yet, a single press of his fingers, a shift in the heat between them, and she whimpered. The sound barely left her throat before she clamped her teeth shut, as if she could hold it back, as if she could stop the next one from escaping. She couldn't. Her hands fisted in his arms, trembling, her body shuddering beneath his. He was human. This was wrong, but God's. She had never felt anything like this before. Her breath came fast, shallow, her entire form racked with the strain of it, of him, of the way he was unraveling her piece by piece. "Tell me to stop." His voice was low, rough. She opened her mouth, but the words didn't come. She was too far gone, too consumed by the sensation, the heat, the impossible ache radiating through every fiber of her being. His hand curled against her, and she shattered. A sharp gasp. A choked sound. A full-body tremor that racked through. Her, relentless and overwhelming, she had lost, completely. His grip tightened, steadying her as her body quaked against him, riding the wave of something far beyond her control. Her breath came in short, desperate bursts, her nails dragging against his skin as she clung to him, utterly wrecked, utterly undone. It was too much. It was everything, and she never wanted it to stop. The tremors still racked her body, aftershocks of something too intense, too overwhelming to fully process. She couldn't catch her breath, couldn't gather her thoughts, couldn't move. He hadn't let go. His hands were still on her, steady, grounding, holding her together when she felt like she was coming apart. The heat of his skin seeped into hers, branding her with the memory of what had just happened. What she had let happen, what she had begged for. A shudder crawled up her spine, a deep, instinctual response to the lingering pressure of his touch. She shouldn't still be reacting to him, but her body refused to obey, still betraying her even now. She squeezed her eyes shut, as if she could block it all out, as if she could pretend this hadn't happened, as if she could pretend that she hadn't wanted it. But when she shifted, even the slightest movement sent another ripple of sensation through her, and a soft, broken sound escaped her lips. He tensed, just for a moment. But she felt it. His fingers flexed against her skin, just enough to remind her that he was still there, that he had felt every shiver, every plea, every helpless, uncontrollable reaction. A slow exhale. Then, his voice. "You're still shaking." She clenched her teeth, willing herself to still, to stop this humiliating display of weakness. But the aftershocks wouldn't stop. She was trembling, breathless, caught in the fading remnants of something she still couldn't fully comprehend. He waited, watching her, reading her. He had done it before, too well, understood her reactions even before she did. She hated that. She hated how easily he could unravel her. She hated that she wanted him to do it again. Her fingers twitched against his skin, as if caught in their own battle between pulling away and holding on. She shouldn't have done this. Shouldn't have let it happen. Shouldn't have. "I can feel your heart racing," he murmured, his voice quiet, steady. Her throat tightened. She swallowed hard. forcing her breathing to slow, forcing her body to obey her again. It's not a small, sharp inhale, as his hand slid just slightly lower. Her body jerked, a fresh wave of heat rolling through her, her breath hitching violently. She barely smothered the sound that threatened to escape. His grip tightened, keeping her still. Not what? Her lips parted, but nothing came out. He exhaled slowly, his breath ghosting over her heated skin. You don't have to lie. Her entire body stiffened, but her silence had already answered for her. She was lying. To herself. To him. To whatever forces had conspired to make her body react in ways it never should have. The truth was undeniable. Now, thrumming through every nerve, pulsing in every frantic, desperate beat of her heart, she had lost control, and worse, she had liked it. A slow, unbearable moment stretched between them. Then, his fingers moved. A sharp, startled gasp tore from her throat before she could stop it, her body convulsing in response. No. She clamped a hand over her mouth, as if she could shove the sound. Back inside, as if she could erase the way her body arched into his touch, helpless, instinctual, desperate. His breath hitched. She felt it, heard it. And then, he laughed. A quiet, rough sound. Not mocking, not cruel. Just knowing. Her face burned, shame curling in her chest. Don't. I'm not laughing at you. His voice was warm now, tinged with something dangerous, something possessive. I like hearing you. Like this. Her breath stalled, her pulse pounded. She shouldn't have reacted to that, shouldn't have felt another sharp, unbearable wave of heat flood through her at those words, and yet she did. Gods, she was ruined. A choked sound slipped from her throat, and she tried, desperately, to shove at his chest, to stop this, stop him, stop herself. But her strength had abandoned her, her body betraying her completely. Her hands fisted weakly into his skin instead, holding on. He let out a slow, satisfied breath. I'm not stopping, he murmured. Not until you tell me you don't want. This. She opened her mouth. No words came. He smiled, and then his hands tightened. Her body broke. She couldn't take it anymore. Her body wasn't meant for this, wasn't built to endure this kind of sensation, this kind of torment. Every nerve was raw, every muscle trembling, every breath a desperate, uneven gasp. And he knew. He knew. He was watching her, feeling her, reading her. Every shiver, every broken sound, every failed attempt to resist him. You're still fighting, he murmured, voice low, steady. Too steady. Her fingers curled into the fabric beneath her, gripping. Tight, seeking some kind of anchor. But it was useless. Her body was betraying her again, just as it had before. Just as it always did under his touch. I'm not. A sharp, involuntary gasp cut through her words as his hands moved. He made a sound, a quiet, satisfied hum that sent a new, unbearable heat spiraling through her core. I can feel you, he said. Every time you shudder, every time you try to hold back. Her breath hitched. He leaned in closer, his warmth pressing into her, his voice brushing against her skin like a physical touch. Tell me, he whispered. Do you want me to stop? The words slammed into her, cutting straight through her. Defenses. She should say yes. She should push him away. She should end this before it went too far. But she couldn't. Her lips parted, but the word refused to come. Instead, a single shuddering exhale slipped free. He went still. Then, slowly, carefully, his fingers curled against her skin, applying just enough pressure to send another sharp, uncontrollable tremor racing through her. She whimpered, and that was it. That was all it took. His breath came faster now, his grip tightening, his entire body responding to her reaction. "I knew it," he murmured. Her hands twitched, caught between pulling him closer and shoving him away. But she could do neither. She was trapped in this, in him. I don't... Another slow, deliberate press of his fingers, and her words shattered into nothing. Her body arched. She let out a broken, helpless sound that she never would have made if she'd had any control left, but she didn't. She had lost it completely, and he had won. His breath was uneven now. His own restraint slipping, his fingers gripping tighter, as if he needed to hold on just as much as she did. "This shouldn't be possible," she gasped, her voice nearly lost beneath the desperate tremor of her breathing. He let out a rough, quiet laugh. And yet, she hated how much he was enjoying this. Hated that he liked seeing her like this. Trembling, breathless, utterly wrecked. Hated that she loved it just as much. Her entire body tensed as another unbearable wave of sensation rolled through her, sharp and all-consuming. A desperate, strangled noise escaped her lips before she could stop it. His hands tightened, his breath hitched, and then finally, his control broke. He grabbed her, a sharp gasp tore from her throat as he pulled her against him. His grip firm, unrelenting, possessive. She barely had time to react before his lips were at her ear, his voice rough, desperate. "I want to hear you again." Her pulse slammed against her ribs. I can't." But it was a lie. She could. And he was about to make sure she would. She couldn't fight it anymore. She had fought, resisted, denied. But none of it had mattered. Her body had already chosen. The truth was written in every trembling breath, in every pulse of heat racing through her veins, in the way she couldn't stop responding to him. He had broken her down piece by piece, shattering every defense she had, until all that remained was this, the raw, undeniable need that neither of them could ignore any longer. And now, she was trapped. Not by force. Not by chains, but by the way she wanted him. A deep, aching want that she couldn't control. He must have sensed the shift, must have felt the moment she stopped resisting, because his grip tightened, his body pressing against hers with a quiet, satisfied hum. "You're not fighting anymore," he murmured, his breath hot against her skin. She shuddered. He wasn't asking. He knew. She should have been angry. Should have hated how smug he sounded. But she couldn't. Because he was right. Her fingers curled into the fabric of his shirt, holding on to him as if he were the only thing keeping her from falling apart. And maybe he was. A rough exhale. Then, his voice, quiet but firm. "Say it." She squeezed her eyes shut. The word caught in her throat, her pride clashing against the desperate, impossible need inside her. She wasn't supposed to want this. She wasn't supposed to need him like this. But she did, and they both knew it. A warm hand slid along her arm, slow, coaxing. "Say it," he whispered again, softer this time. Her breath hitched, her pulse pounded. And finally, she broke. "I want you." The words slipped out before she could stop them, a soft, trembling confession that sent a violent shudder through her entire body. She expected him to gloat, expected him to tease. But he didn't. Instead, he let out a sharp breath, his grip tightening with something dangerous, something desperate. And then, he moved. The world tilted as he pulled her flush against him, his heat searing into her, his body solid and unchanging. Beneath her trembling form, a shiver rolled through her, sharp and uncontrollable. She had lost. But for the first time, she didn't care. She didn't care about pride, didn't care about resistance. Didn't care about anything except this, him, them, the impossible, undeniable thing that had been building between them since the moment they met. And now, there was no stopping it. Her fingers clenched in his shirt, her body pressing into his without hesitation, without fear, without shame. His breath came faster now, rough and uneven, his own control slipping as he finally let himself have her. It was overwhelming. Too much. Not enough. She didn't know how long it lasted, how long they remained locked in this feverish, unbearable moment. But when he finally pulled back, just enough to look at her, his eyes were dark, heavy, certain. She swallowed hard, her chest rising and falling in sharp, uneven breaths. "Tell me you're mine," he murmured. Her heart stalled. Something deep and terrifying clenched inside her, because she knew what he was really asking. This wasn't just about desire. It wasn't just about physical need. It was about her, him, them. And the moment she said it, there would be no turning back. She licked her lips, her body trembling against his. He waited, silent, still. But his hands never left her, never loosened, never let go. She took a shuddering breath, and then, "I'm yours." The words left her in a whisper, soft and uncertain. But the moment they did, he snapped. His arms locked around her, pulling her in, his body pressing against hers with nothing left between them. A choked, helpless sound slipped from her throat. And he just held her, firm, unyielding, sure. Like he had been waiting for her to say it, waiting for her to finally give in. And now that she had, he wasn't letting go, ever. She buried her face against his chest, her entire body still trembling, still overwhelmed. But for the first time, she wasn't afraid. For the first time, she didn't want to run. Because now she wasn't fighting alone, and she never would be again.